Hao. Hello. Hello, Beijing. How are you? I'm Joanna Peña-Bickley, the Global Chief Creative Officer of IBM Interactive Experience. And I couldn't be more excited to talk to you today about the kinds of work that we are doing and the decade that we are ushering in, a new decade of design and creativity. For us, we use inspiration from all kinds of places all over the world. For me personally, that inspiration often comes from fiction and storytelling, is what inspires a lot of my design ideas. So whether it is the tales of Hans Christian Andersen or the Brothers Grimm, or the comics of Frank Miller, or the space fantasies of Gene Roddenberry, I believe that there is this intriguing dialogue between fiction and invention. And it is with that passion and idea for ideas and invention today that I'm here to bring you a very different perspective on the future of creativity. There is a ton of, this is really an exciting time for us to be a designer and a creative. For the first time, and I think a very long time, creatives are needed at the business table. And because of that, we have entered into a new decade of design and a new dimension of creativity. We call it experience design. So I ask you to experience design like perhaps you've never experienced it before. So one of the things that we deal with constantly with clients is an environment of rapid change. It is basically the only constant in business today. It's what brands are facing, and sometimes it puts them into a place of paralysis. The pace of change is only getting faster, and for modern businesses and brands, they're not running a marathon, they're sprinting to the future. So for us, digital is no longer the destination. It's the foundation. I want you to think about that for a second. It's the foundation in everything that we do. Everything is digital now. From the screens that you have in your hands right now, to the videos that we are taking, to the MacBooks that we work on. Everything is digital. And so when everything is digital, that takes us into the post-digital era. And when you think about that, that really puts creativity at a new intersection, an intersection of art, business, and technology. The modern brand and client understands that their employee and customer experience is the new competitive battleground. This new reality is the reality for many businesses and brands. And for industries, it's a very scary place because when the customer experience is improved upon, they either have a choice to be the disruptor or to be disrupted. We only have to look at industries like publishing, music, and auto that had very traditional business models like retail stores, and the disruptors that came in and changed the game and truly made digital a foundation and improved the customer expectations all the way through the experience. So for our clients today, safe is the riskiest proposition they could deal with. Being safe in their advertising, being safe in customer experience is really, really risky. And that takes us to an entirely new economy. We call it the experience economy. Experience has emerged as the only sustainable source of growth and differentiation for brands. Marketing leaders and brand leaders can no longer rely on just advertising of their services and products alone, because they stand at a time when their choice is to be disrupted or be the disruptor. So why is experience of great importance to brands? Well, the reality is the results don't lie. Companies with great customer experiences perform much better for not only the customers themselves, but for stockholders and their employees. The research here shows that when you have a great customer and employee experience, you experience 2 times gross profit growth, 3.4 times net income growth, and 2.4 times stock growth. Those are statistics you cannot argue with. So, the experience economy, there is no longer any real distinction between business strategy and the design of the customer experience. The reality is we're living upon convergent times, and this convergence continues for forward thinkers and doers like us, that there is really not any aspect of the arts or creativity that isn't being reshaped by the forces of new technological advances. So, in the experience economy, there's one emerging truth, that the physical location is the new digital interface. So, when you think about that big change and the importance of what that means to the brand, the manifestation of branding can no longer just sit in the message alone. And for us, if you think about it as creatives, for those of you that sit in agencies or digital agencies today, you're probably feeling tremendous change. And our industry has to change, because the customer demand for personalization is shifting our creative and design practices like it has never done before. We can no longer look at art and copy alone as the means to engage a customer. So, in order for us to compete for marketing dollars, our creative practices must move from the past, which has been all about mass communications, to the future, which is all about individualized experiences. And the reason for that is because what we know for sure is that it's that individualized experience that leads to long-term customer loyalty and brand value. It leads to sustainability. So when you think about this choice that we have, it relies on a real truth, that the last best experience that anyone has anywhere becomes the minimum expectation of the experience that you expect everywhere. So think about that for a second. The last best experience that anyone has anywhere becomes the minimum expectation that you expect everywhere. And that is so true of, if you think about basic interactions in our daily lives. When you're using Uber, that's become the new norm. And so we expect all driver service to be just as good as Uber, right? And when you think about it, when you order something online and you have a wonderful experience and it gets to your door, that becomes the minimum expectation. But here's the reality. The quality of that experience is entirely dependent upon the use of individualized data. This convergent truth has reshaped brand experiences in a way that has led us into a new decade of design. We call it experience design. Experience design is the practice of designing products, processes, services, events, and environments with a focus placed on the quality of culturally relevant customer experience. Culturally relevant is really the key here. It's not enough just to tug at making it easier. It has to be culturally relevant. You have to love it. It has to improve your life in where you live, you play, and you work. There's an interesting duality happening right now when it comes to designing experiences. That duality has impacted just about every form and function of creative industry. So for those of us who have lived within communications and marketing for a long time and been in there, the experience designer essentially has become the hybrid polymath who is shaping traditional design with data and technology. For marketing and communications, we saw the convergence of skill sets as most canvases became digital and the old economy retracted. So think about it for a second. It was information architecture, interaction design that became UX design. It was graphic design, front-end coders, and motion graphics that became the creative technologist within there. And writers and content strategists have become editorial designers. This convergence of skill sets continues in just about every single industry. That's true in fashion. We think about fashion and wearables. Just for a second, a few hands. How many of you have some form of wearable on today? So the people that are designing those wearables are seeing the emergence of a specialty that is about to become the norm, called fashion technologist. The fashion technologist, combined with biomedia designers like Amanda Parks, are reshaping what it means to be a designer in fashion. That's also true in architecture. The architectural engineer, like Zaha Hadid, Maya Yinlin, or even Frank Gehry, are framing a new future for architecture in a way that is much better and a cohesive experience for anyone who walks into a building. In manufacturing, the industrial designer has become the real linchpin in changing the future of what it means to invent for new products. And in the public sector, impacted by great urbanization, urban planners like Elizabeth Mark-Zenek and Lorinda Hope Spear are realizing intelligent futures for cities in a way that I don't think that we've ever seen before. And who would have thought that even in culinary, that you're seeing new culinary sciences and the culinary technology coming to life to formulate yet another type of experience designer. And last but not least is in entertainment. Entertainment is at this point the cutting edge of what is happening in experience design. Because if you think about it, the experience has to live to the storytelling. You want to immerse yourself in that entertainment. And so the importance of technology and how we experience the story couldn't be more important. So the important three things that are happening today in experience design as a practice is that three important pillars have emerged. For designers and creatives, data couldn't be more important, but it's not important the way that you think it is. It isn't enough for it just to be for an insight. I want you to think about it for a second as something more than something that should push the creative, right? For experienced designers, we design with data. Not for data, but with it. Think of it as a great sculptor. If you were a great sculptor, the data could be the clay. Great painter. The canvas, obviously, could be technology, but the data in and of itself has the ability to make artwork unique and individual. The other thing when it comes to being an experienced designer, core tenet of it, is understanding that we have to design to enhance life, not just to push product. Because if we think about it, millennials will not tolerate us selling to them. So if we cannot push product, we have to enhance their life. That is their expectation. And to design to enhance life at an individual level is critical to experience design. And the last one, which I think is really important, is the fact that we are no longer designing just for screens. We are designing for connected space and time. Connected space and time. I want you to think about that for a minute. We live in a connected world that allows us to uniquely design experiences that move beyond the screen. And customers, employees expect an experience that's tailor-made for them at a particular moment in time. And we do this by being able to tap into something more than the screen. Everything in our life is connected. Our homes, our workplaces, our highways, our cars, they're all connected. And so the opportunity to design for connected space and time has really taken up and opened up a new dimension in design. So I'm going to pause for a second, because if you think about a new dimension of design, I've talked about a new decade, which experienced designers have emerged as creative polymaths. But a new dimension is something that is really new and real. Think about it for a moment. For most of us that came up through art direction and design, we designed for 2D experiences that really lived in print or static surfaces. Then we shifted to 3D design for screens and mobile phones. But what happens when you move past the screen and the physical world is the digital interface? In this decade of experience design, we must now account for this new dimension that lives in front of us. In 1912, Einstein called it the fourth dimension. And at IBM Interactive Experience, we call it four-dimensional design. This is where the magic happens. For us, it's the convergence of design for the human senses, all tied to how data can become real and of value to people. It is where the virtual and augmented reality simply become real. And it is where science fiction transforms into an artfully designed future. 4D design moves us from merely storytelling, 360 degrees of communication, to actually putting customers and employees at the heart of our experiences, allowing the brand story to immerse them 365 days a year. 4D design relies on the experienced designer to find beauty in chaos and in complexity. That actually, if you think about it, everything that we've ever been taught about design and art direction and writing for communication has always been about simplification of the message. But when you have so many new components and you're dealing with so many human emotions, the art of creating out of chaos is something new for this new dimension. It craves an understanding of almost every space and time that we exist in has some kind of code that lives in our homes, in the workplaces, in our entertainment venues, and in our shopping malls. Think about it. There isn't a mode of your life that is connected. So 4D designers are uniquely using data to touch the 5 human senses of sight, smell, touch, hearing, taste, and if you think about it as we go here, taste, to bring customers and employees closer to the brands they love. 4D design uses connected space and time to enhance people's lives at an individual level. And 4D design creates intelligent products, cities, stores, and entertainment venues all over the world. For business, 4D design is the difference between being the disruptor and having your brand or business disrupted. So for experienced designers, 4D design enables data that can dance. It actually produces numbers that have soul. It gives pixels a pulse and new emotion. It allows statistics to sing like never before. It gives metrics incredible emotion and meaning. And it knows that algorithms can be art. And haptics can have heart. And that data can deliver Da Vinci. And computations can be artful and connected, so much so that It connects you to Coco Chanel like you've never been before. 4D design connects us to the physics of the brand experience and gives us a way to use entirely new art forms to intelligently create products, services, all tied together that actually create immersive experiences that react to humans' interaction. They're not static, they're living, they're growing, they're learning, all about us. Here's just an example if we think about how it applies in a world where new art forms have emerged. This happens to be a piece of art by Tatiana Plakov, right? One of the most prolific generative art creators. When you think about what inspires her and what she does, she designs with data. But this is merely scratching the surface. It only scratches the surface because what we once thought was chaotic can be beautiful. And that is the minimum expectation of our customers that live for and use the brands that we create for. So it's so important that when we think about 4D design, that it isn't just about wind hitting you when you walk into the store. It's about the store reacting to you, knowing you when you walk through the door, and giving you the option and the opportunity to tailor-make what it is that you really love about the brand and create an acceptance and an area for the customer that is unique to the brand and has never been done before. So this is an incredible time of great invention. And for experienced designers out there, the polymaths, the information architects that are actually creatives, at heart, we have a mantra that we understand at our core, which is technology isn't something we should fear as creatives. We should be looking to it as a new canvas. And data isn't something we should fear as creatives because data has the opportunity within 4D design to be our paint. And the ideas that you come up with, those great big brand ideas, are what will make the brand experience a masterpiece in the customer's lives. If you think about it, it's important for business today because living in the experience economy, their experience has to be a masterpiece. So I ask you, as creatives, what will you do with 4D? What will you design in 4D? What will you take back to your brands and explain to them that the future is upon us? And we all have a choice as creatives. We can either pull up to the business table, right? Or we can sit back and live in the past. So that is the choice not only for us, but for our clients. Live in the past or get down to the business of imagining the future of creativity in a new decade where experience design is absolutely the future of what we do as creatives. And 4D is the new immersive way for us to create for brands and customers. Thank you.